Hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rebecca Bailey and I'm joined by my colleague Fahim Afghan. Today we're doing the second part in a series of webinars that we're currently running, looking at people working from home, working remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're addressing topics around security and productivity. So today's webinar is looking at email security, particularly at how people can send emails more accurately and more securely at this time.
Good day, everyone. This is Fahim here. So yeah, as Beck says, that's what we're covering today, and three key parts to what we want to do. It won't be too long a session. So number one, why is email a challenge right now? So Bex is going to dive into the new world we're currently operating in, and why it's a challenge, and then we'll take a look at how we feel we can help, and some of the ways in which customers are benefiting from the way we work. And then there have been some questions that have been sent to us in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we'd like to address those during this particular forum.
Brilliant, thanks Fahim. So I'm going to spend a bit of time now setting the scene and addressing the question of why sharing data via email is a risk. So I know the cynics say that email is over, that it's a technology for yesterday, but that's not the reality I'm experiencing, and it's certainly not the reality for all of the people that I'm talking to. We are living in our inboxes right now. We're experiencing an unprecedented increase in the volume of emails being sent and received. And the reasons for this are that many of the quick chats that we might have had in the office are turning into emails. And also people are sending around an increased number of email summaries to support phone calls and meetings and help really increase productivity over the disparate workforce. And people are flexing their office hours as well. So not only are we experiencing increased volume, but people are emailing outside of normal patterns and outside of normal hours for them as individuals. So, people are flexing, emailing around sort of personal circumstances. We're also seeing a blurring of the boundary between home and work. Many people are set up to work in kitchens, at dining tables, in spare rooms. And so it becomes increasingly more likely that they'll perhaps pick up their mobile phone and email out of hours. Or they're using personal devices because they've not been issued with a company device at this time, or a company laptop. And so the smaller screens is a problem for accuracy when sending emails. So all of this is adding up to making it increasingly likely that people are going to make mistakes whilst using email. They may add the wrong recipient because they're working off a smaller screen, or because they're rushing, or auto insert in Outlook or other email clients suggest the wrong recipient. They may attach the wrong document. They may forget to remove data from within documents, for example, spreadsheets with multiple tabs, or they may forget to encrypt sensitive data. And this is really a sleeping giant, as we like to refer to it, so a problem that is bigger than we know. For many organizations at the best of times. So when someone emails the wrong person or attaches the wrong document, typically organizations have to rely on staff, firstly, noticing that they've made a mistake, and then secondly, self-reporting it or reporting other colleagues. Now, we know statistically that this is unlikely to happen due to a variety of psychological and behavioral factors. And so all of this can compound potentially a data breach when sensitive data is leaked. So addressing this problem during a time of increased pressure to be productive, during a time of that blurring of boundaries between work and home, is something that the organizations are really looking to tackle right now. And so really the rest of this webinar, Fahim is going to be looking at how Egress can help support your organization as people send and receive data via email. So Fahim, over to you to explain.
Thanks, Bex, and some really good points there. I think in terms of the impact this has in terms of breaches of what are now strict data privacy laws worldwide, GDPR, CCPA, PDPA as well, and the financial and reputational consequences there. I mean, what you refer to as a sleeping giant, it's absolutely correct. And there's things we need to do. So for example, on that point, we work with a Fortune 100 healthcare company, and what they were telling us was that 95% of the security incidents that they reported, I think it was in 1 year, I think last year, 95% of those were from misdirected emails. So that's quite staggering. I mean, that's a huge amount of security incidents. And when you factor in that each of those incidents were taking 60 hours worth of remediation work to rectify, then this isn't only a financial or reputational risk, but it's also a huge risk to efficiency and productivity as well. So we've got to do something, and there are some ways in which we're working with our customers to help them get over this challenge. So number one, you mentioned there, Bex, the idea of the wrong recipients, auto-completing and sending sensitive data to the wrong Rebecca, the wrong Fahim, maybe, and that's causing a security breach. So, something we're doing is, we're working with customers and deploying what we call contextual machine learning, which essentially is a form of algorithms. It's a form of machine learning that interrogates and continuously learns a user's behavior to establish context around their working patterns, who their relationships are with, who they're emailing with and when, at what time of day they're emailing, and the kind of content they're sharing, and also their role within the business. So, we have to factor in the fact that, someone in sales will be emailing data that's different to someone in finance, and having that recognition of that user's role to then make sound judgments and real-time guidance when an anomaly is potentially happening, and then of course prevent a security breach before it can even happen. So that's the really exciting piece of the puzzle that we're working with here. So what that really looks like in practice from a user journey point of view is, as we're typing an email, that contextual machine learning is understanding the domain that the recipient belongs to, also the recipient's information themselves, so understanding historical communications with that recipient, also geographical factors as well, system information, IP addresses, all that information. And then what we're doing is providing real-time feedback, which is unobtrusive. We make sure that it doesn't get in the way of the user's workflow. And if that alert appears in that unobtrusive form, we can then dive into that a little further to understand why there's a risk. Why has the contextual machine learning picked up a potential anomaly? And that allows us as a user to say, oh yeah, hold on, that's not the right David, that's not the right Rebecca, and amend accordingly. So really powerful in terms of preventing a security breach that way. But that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? So it's not just sharing with the right recipient, as you rightly said there, Bex, it's also about sharing the right content as well. So in a very similar form, we're making sure on that user journey where we're understanding the recipient and domain, once again, understanding who they are for authenticity, reputation, making sure there's no abnormal behavior at play. We're also looking at the subject line of that email. But also on top of that, something we do that we're very proud of and we feel is quite unique in the industry right now is that we're not only looking to interrogate an attachment's file and name and type, but we're also digging into the metadata and the data within that attachment, inside that document, to make sure it matches up with who we're emailing. It matches up with the recipient and domain. And we also look at the message body analysis as well. So if there might be case numbers or medical record numbers, credit card numbers, whatever it might be. And what that means is that if we spot behavior, we bring up intelligent notifications, and again, in an unobtrusive way, that can prevent a potential mistake. And something we've heard a lot over the years, Egress, we've been in this game a long time, and one of the shall we say the most popular complaints we've had from customers has been around the fact that these frameworks can sometimes just get in the way of user workflows, get in the way of productivity. People just want to send an email. They don't want to see all these prompts coming, popping up on their screen, having to click through, creating prompt fatigue, creating user frustration. And the risk is that the user might just click through without really thinking, just to get something done, and that elevates the risk of data being sent to the wrong person or with the wrong content, as we've just discussed. So the good news is we've made it really easy with the Egress Prevent capability. So it's a very simple plugin. It's hardly visible in your Outlook plugin, so providing very much unobtrusive support in real time. And as you can see, a very subtle change in terms of real-time feedback, and it's instant, it's real-time, it's discrete as well. That's the most important thing. So as the user is typing, that icon may change from saying something like prevent active to something of a risk detected. And therefore, as I mentioned earlier, we can then dive into that a little bit more and just understand the nature of that anomaly. And again, not only is that designed to prevent a security incident, so it's satisfying the need for security, but most importantly as well, it's making sure we're not getting in the way of the user's journey, the sort of user experience, keeping our users and employees happy, and keeping productivity flowing. And lastly, as Beck said, we're all working from home now at the kitchen table, dining table. For the parents amongst you, I can surely empathize with what you're going through right now. I have a toddler myself. So my wife and I are taking a shift pattern approach to our working 2 hours at a time while the other babysits. But what that means is our days are extended. I'm therefore checking my emails on my phone just before I go to bed, maybe replying to emails or sending and composing emails as well. And in my tired and fatigued state, guess what? The risk of a security incident is elevated simply because of my fatigued state. So the good news is Egress Prevent has full mobile support. So whether on iOS or Android, if you're creating an email on your phone, we will be able to check for anomalies as well. So just to go through how this works, we use a cutting edge gateway solution which sits at the moderation. We have a moderator mailbox that sits at the exchange level. So what that means is me as a user sending that email at sort of gone 11 midnight at night, if there is an anomaly detected based on what we've already discussed, I get a message back very quickly saying, we've spotted this potential anomaly. Are you sure that this wants to be sent? And you either approve or reject it, whether that's on your mobile or on OA, I should importantly add as well. And what that means is, once again, we're preventing the risk of a breach from happening. But also, I think what's also unique about this particular approach is that I think we've heard customers come to us saying that the existing solution they've had, their mobile emails have been routed through a proprietary cloud, which is fine. But if there was to be an outage in that cloud, then your productivity is completely disrupted. But also, if an external malicious or criminal infiltrator intercepted that cloud, then there's a big risk from a security point of view there as well. So our approach of attaching that gateway solution at the exchange level via a moderation mailbox really serves to prevent that risk and minimize that risk of, first of all, security risk, but also the disruption to workflows as well. So really, hopefully that's a quick overview of the different ways in which we're working with customers to make sure they're sending emails safely in this new environment. But I know we've had questions come in over the past couple of weeks, Beck, so why don't we look at addressing those?
Amazing. Thank you, Fahim. And yes, absolutely. I have a few questions that have been asked over the last few weeks about Egress Prevent, and I've got a few to ask you now. So in particular, looking at that user experience, how is Egress Prevent geared towards avoiding user fatigue?
Yep, very, very common question. Yeah, like we just discussed, I think a lot of customers have approached us with that problem, looking for ways to get around it. So I think it comes back to the real kind of unobtrusive nature of the feedback that we provide. So it's all in real time, it's instantaneous, but most importantly, it's discrete. So it only alerts a user if there's an anomaly. So if the email's fine and there are no anomalies or abnormal behavior detected, you just go about your business. There's no a prompt, there's no alert or anything like that to get in the way. The alerts only appear if abnormal behavior has been detected. Again, in a very discreet and unobtrusive way. So the egress prevent machine learning will just highlight that there's maybe a medium or even a higher risk detected, and that's when the user can just sort of click on the icon to reveal a panel which is hidden initially, so that they can understand that level of risk, why that we've detected that anomaly, why we think it's abnormal behavior, giving the user, empowering that user to then make a better decision around sharing that email.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, I should also add, sorry, Bex, there's
No, go
also
for it.
the mobile app as well. Sorry, the mobile support as well. So a very, very simple user experience. If we're all typing our email late at night, like I mentioned earlier, we get a quick message saying, are you sure you want to send this, approve or reject? If it's on OA, you simply click on the tick or the cross, and away you go. Simple as that.
Great, thank you. And thinking about the accuracy of Egress Prevent, is it possible to ingest historic data to learn from, so that organizations can get up and running as quickly as possible?
That's exactly what it does. So to put it simply, we analyze 1 year's worth of a user's sent emails. And we do that generally within a 24-hour period. So literally a day later, the machine learning is set up, we're good to go, and users can begin sending emails safely.
Brilliant. And, obviously we've spent a lot of time here talking about machine learning and kind of the question of advanced DLP. But is it possible to also use static DLP rules or technology in support of Egress Prevent?
That's a great question, and I should have mentioned that. So I'm glad that's been brought up. So I think what's critical to our approach is that, yes, this contextual machine learning is revolutionary in the way it can detect potentially abnormal behavior and prevent a security breach from happening. But it's overlaid on top of existing static DLP rules. So I'll be clear, we do not see this as the end of static DLP as it exists. It's been around for the best part of 10, 20 years, and it's served its purpose so well. And we still believe in the value and the power of DLP. However, we see it no longer keeping up with the pace of modern, what we call human activated threats. So all the stuff we've been talking about today. So sending an email to the wrong recipient with the wrong content, etc. So it works in conjunction with DLP. DLP is a massive part of what we do still. So, for example, we work with consultancies and law firms that right off the bat just want to make sure that no one in their business sends email about client A to client B, for example. Now, with a DLP rule in place, straight away we're eliminating the risk of that from happening. So there are plenty of user cases still where DLP plays a pivotal role, and we believe that, and DLP therefore is a big part of our solution.
Amazing, thank you. And then one last question, just to round us off. So everything you've shown us is from the sender side. Is there any impact on recipients at all of the emails that people are sending when they've got Egress Prevent installed?
Good question. No, actually, is the long and the short answer, really. Apart from, I guess, receiving emails correctly. But yeah, recipients don't need to do anything. It just means that they receive the right content and they're the right recipient, really.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you, Fahim. And that's all we have time for today in the second of our work from home series. We'll be following up with a couple more in this, addressing the problems and the risks that people are having as they work from home during COVID-19. But if you have any other questions about anything we've talked about today or want to talk to the Egress team, please do get in touch. There are a range of options on your screen. And if you visit the Egress website, egress.com, there's telephone numbers for different regions and also contact us forms that you can fill in. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, and we hope to see you again soon.